gather around, gather around, gather around, because this video can save you potentially your whole life, or at least a decade worth of suffering, like it would have for me if I had known this stuff sooner, and some of my friends who also picked the wrong business models and have a bunch of health issues, like a ridiculous amount of health issues because they picked the wrong thing, and they spent so much time just wasted, right? So in this video, we're going to be going over the difference between building your own brand business or building some type of service-based business like a social media marketing agency, a growth partnership, a social media management agency, any type of service-based business, essentially, that you can build for a different business. And then after we go over it, I'm going to go over a little bit about the pros and cons and a little bit of story time with my experiences, because I have worked on both sides of this coin. And that is why I'm making this video, because I really just wish I just had this information before I started. Like this, if I had this information like a decade ago, bro, I'd be like easily sitting in a giant mansion with like 8 Lamborghinis and just sitting on a beach somewhere, probably not even making YouTube videos, or making very different type. No, I'd still make YouTube videos because I just like making YouTube videos, but I would be making a lot more funner YouTube videos where I'm like going to restaurants and like trying new places and just bringing you guys along, which I will do at one point. Fingers crossed, right? So the goal of the video is to save you guys some time, give you guys some information, give you guys some deep insights of the industry from both sides that I have not seen people talk about on YouTube, because they are too busy trying to get you to sign up for their Discord or sell you some type of course or get you to sign up for their affiliate links. Because, oh my god, the agency space as well as like, you know, the dropshipping space is kind of a meme. Like there's like this dude got famous on this social media marketing agency space by roasting this other guy. Ironically, I worked for that guy who he roasted for, and he was right. Like, that dude doesn't really know how to run an agency at all. But the meme was like, he was getting everybody to sign up on his Discord, and you can't get into the Discord unless you use his affiliate link to sign up with Go High Level, right? And a couple months later, he's got like, what, 2 clients or something, but he made all of his money with the affiliate link. And like, he's like a big agency influencer. Like, bro, what? Like, there's so many people that have like a free course on dropshipping, but they made all their money on like the affiliate links in the Discord. And they're flexing it on like podcasts like months later, like, yo, I made $1 million a month, you know, with affiliate marketing or with my dropshipping course. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, dude, like, if you don't know how to, like, I'm not going to tell you anything in this video. That's my courtesy, my professional courtesy to you guys watching. I just want you guys to genuinely save potentially years of your life and suffering and God knows what else from just hopefully making a better decision than most people have made. Okay, so quickly defining this, what is a brand? Brand is something that you build yourself. It is a you business. It's like you're bringing some type of solution to the market, some type of product innovation to the market. You're just bringing something to the market. Any type of service-based business, whether you're running ads for people, you're doing content for other people, is you doing some type of service for a business. You're essentially their employee without being their employee. You're working on a contract basis. You don't have any health insurance. You don't get any of that. And the loophole here is you have to be good at what you're selling. So you essentially hack it by getting 10 clients instead of having one job, which in theory will pay you more for doing less work to do that, right? Right? So it all comes down to your why. Like, why do you want to do this to yourself? Because like, either or is, you gotta have problems. Right? They just come with their own different set of problems, because an agency is like a people's business. You're gonna have problems with hiring people, firing people, you know, replacing clients, all that stuff. Like, you gotta get really good with people. That's gotta be like a, you know, a people side business, versus a brand or some type of dropshipping business or whatever you're trying to do. The biggest time you're gonna deal with people is just your infrastructure like getting suppliers and all that stuff, hiring like team members to do stuff for you, building out SOPs, like standard operating procedures, like how to do something in like that part of the business when you're hiring them and all that stuff. So it's way more chill if you don't like talking to people, right? Like essentially if you're introverted, right, you literally don't have to talk to people for like months or years if you don't want to, other than like your suppliers. And if you put out a good system and you have a good product manager on your team that handles all this stuff for you, then you literally don't have to talk to anybody ever. You can sit home, play Fortnite all day, watch Netflix all day, watch The Bachelorette all day, and fantasize about why, like, you know, you can't find a man or woman or whatever, not realizing it's because you have like the personality of a nail, and fixing that instead. But that's gonna be a reoccurring theme here, by the way, just the whole accountability thing, because essentially a brand is you taking hyper accountability for everything and fixing everything. And an agency, people are going to be pointing fingers. Your clients are not going to take accountability for things for the most part. They're just going to just assume you're going to do it, or you're in charge of that whole department and all that jazz. We'll get into that a little bit later, right? So if you're more extroverted, you like talking to people, like you want to, you know, people-based business, you like being around people, you might have a better time in an agency space or doing some type of service-based space, because you're going to have to do sales calls, you're going to have to do customer support, you're going to have to be talking to clients and all that stuff. Especially in the beginning, you're going to have to do everything, right? So you have to do all this. And the fun part about the agency space is that it actually cash flows a lot faster than the brand would, because you're essentially getting the down payment for the first month before the service starts, right? That's the trade-off. With the brand, you have to find the product market fit first. So you might not make a lot of money initially, but you can ramp up very quickly once you know what you're doing, or once you kind of get more confidence in like what you're doing, right? So introverted, I already talked about this. Like if you're introverted, I wouldn't even bother with the agency, honestly. Like you could force yourself to do it to get like a couple bucks saved up to do your brand, but you're just not gonna have a good time in the agency space, because a lot of the agency work, other than delivering your service, is essentially holding your client's hand and making them feel like you're also in the trenches with them, suffering with them, right? Because for some reason, clients have this like, or business owners in this era seem to have this like story of like a struggling entrepreneur trying to make it happen, right? Even if you're making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, you still feel like you're struggling because you're just working day in and out, right? So your clients need to feel that you feel that, and then they feel heard and validated and all that jazz. So you got to do that for the agency side, because like if you don't, they're gonna feel like something's off, and then you just gotta go find somebody else that either is gonna know how to do that or is just gonna be cheaper. That's like the biggest con with the agency side, is like you're gonna always have some type of competition. Like I can name you 5 clients that I've worked with over the last decade where we spend months fixing all of their problems and we get them profitable, and then they're like, hey, this toddler, he just, you know, learned how to walk yesterday and he's offering me, you know, 40x ROAS, and he's only going to charge me $1,500 a month. So what do you think about that? Like a client straight up asked me that, minus the toddler part, you know, and I was like, you were struggling for the last 5 years in this business to like break even. We got you like the most profitable months you've literally ever seen, and your first instinct is to go find somebody else for cheaper, even though you've worked with 10 different agencies before, right? But luckily it wasn't my agency, it was the agency of the guy who was like the scammer agency person on YouTube, and he was like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get you 50x ROAS. And I'm looking at this guy like, yo, this guy is insane. This is when I kind of realized this guy is kind of a moron, and why he made so much more money selling a course on how to build an agency versus like actually running an agency. And ironically, he made a video of like me saying that he fired me, and then I was like some type of lazy genius. He didn't mention the fact that he was telling every client that he's like promising them 40x, 50x ROAS, and he keeps like asking me to like take less pay every other month, and he's not showing up for meetings for clients, not even me. And I was essentially running his whole agency for him, right? That wasn't mentioned in there. Anyways, you're going to have different types of pressure and different types of like stress in each business model. So in the agency space, like I just kind of mentioned, like a lot of the issues you're going to have is just people issues. Like people are going to want, they get comfortable, they get used to certain things. Like if somebody's been struggling with their business, and then you come in and then all of a sudden you're making like $100K a month, and let's say Facebook comes out with like a new update if you're doing like Facebook ads, for example, right? Because this is basically what happened in the last couple months, where like, you know, there's a lot of updates coming out with AI stuff, so performance is all over the place. So let's say you're making $100K a month, and then all of a sudden you drop to $50K a month. That client is going to flip out on you. They're going to be like, bro, what's happening? What's broken? What's on fire? They don't realize they're still making way more money than they've literally ever made, but it's just going to take a little while to kind of get the stuff fixed up. Like they're not going to give you more creatives or stuff. They're going to think something broke, and then something is off or something is wrong, and then they're going to flip out on you. They might not do it directly, but they're doing it, and you can just kind of feel it. You gotta get a sense for that when you're in the space long enough, right? With the brand side of things, the worst things that can like happen is like your supplier literally runs out of inventory, and you have to switch to pre-orders. Maybe you got a couple extra emails, and you're like, "Yo, we just kind of sold out, oversold. Do you want a refund for your $50, or do you want to just wait and we'll give you like your next order for free or something to like make up for this wait," right? And then you have like customer support in place, so you don't even really have to deal with that. You can just talk to them, your customer support manager, in a meeting, and then they'll just say, "Hey, we just oversold like 50 units." And you can be like, "Oh, you can just refund them or give them a discount, see if they'll be cool with it." Now, the biggest thing here is like you can get banned on like Facebook and stuff, and essentially if you're just over leveraged on like credit on one platform or like one product, it can technically go to zero if you don't have a good moat or like a good way to like differentiate yourself from your competition, and just like don't have a backup plan in case your stuff falls. You could essentially go to zero overnight. If you know how to prepare for that, if you've seen this video, so congratulations, now you know to prepare for that. Always have backup accounts, backup themes, backup everything, 2-3 backups on your Google Drive. Pay for that storage just to have all that stuff up there. Have it on a hard drive somewhere, because in case the backup breaks or your hard drive breaks where you have the backup, what are you going to do, right? So have a backup for your backup for your backup. You can go up to like 3 or 4 or 5 layers deep, whatever you want to be comfortable with. Paying an extra $100 a year for like that 100 gigs of Google storage is definitely worth not having to like potentially lose out on hundreds of thousands of dollars if like you're getting your theme updated and it just crashes, correct? So with the agency side, you can't go back to zero. If you only have one client and you lose a client, you're back to zero. But the way to grow an agency is you focus primarily or firstly on building a system to bring in referrals or clients, right? So if you lose a client, you already have like 5 meetings booked and you just got to sign one of them, right? If you lose a client, it's not really that bad. It doesn't hurt as bad because you're just going to replace them eventually anyways. Because with the agency space, it's like you get clients, you get better at what you're doing, you start charging a little bit more. Clients don't like that, so they might leave. Like majority of them might leave, and then the new clients coming in will pay higher, and then you just kind of get rid of the ones that don't want to grow with you, and then you just kind of keep evolving. So that's kind of part of the business model. Like churn is part of the business model. With the brand side, you want to have a customer for as long as humanly possible. You want to keep reselling them stuff, so you want to do a good job of service. The fun part is that with the brand side, you don't have to worry about, like a day in, day out type communication. You just have to do one really good product. And if they're happy with that, you can give them like a nice discount code or some type of perks, some type of, incentives to like be a member, like a loyalty program, referral program, stuff like that. And just keep them coming back for more and more and more and more, right? So that's what I mean. Like they have their own pros and cons. So if you're like a people person, you can work in the agency side if you kind of just are more of a harder worker, I would say, and if you're like more driven and you like taking more accountability and responsibility for things, and you honestly just think you just deserve more, then I would go with the brand side. Because the biggest thing is when things hit the fan, the clients aren't going to take accountability. You might have to take that accountability. The biggest difference is with the agency side, you will rarely get rewarded for that, versus the brand side, you always will get rewarded for that. Like the brand side, your inputs are directly connected to your outputs. Your agency side, that is not the true, because essentially you're trading one boss for multiple bosses, and you already know how human nature greed is like one of the most interesting things I have ever noticed. Like you can come into a business that's been struggling for years, make them lots of money, and you can ask for like a little bit, like you can literally ask for an extra 2%, and just watch them flip out. It's like they just got the news that their puppy died, just for you asking for like an extra 2,000 or 2% or something. If you're looking at an ad, if you have ran ads, right? So if you don't run ads, essentially like if you make a commercial for your product and it starts doing good, right? For every dollar you put into the commercial, you're getting $2 back, right? So you're making, let's say it costs you $1 to do like the fulfillment and like all the costs that you have for the business. So you're making $1 for every dollar you put in, because you get back 2. One goes to the service side just to fulfill everything, and the other is pure profit, right? So when you have something like that, you want to keep putting more money into it until it no longer gives you that dollar. Until it is no longer profitable, you will keep putting money into it to keep giving you more and more money, because with the brand side, the more people that see the commercial, the more potential customers you get. And then when you get the customers, you can always retarget the customers and have them in your ecosystem, right? With the agency side, it doesn't really work like that, because like you make them money and they think you're like an AI NPC that's just going to be like stagnant, and it's like a problem that's been fixed that they don't have to worry about. But they expect like, constant updates and stuff, literally like you're an AI, right? So if you want to ask them for more money and stuff like that, they're going to be very hesitant to them. You're not really almost a person. You're like a cog in the machine just fixing something. That's why I like the whole agency thing. You're literally an employee, but you don't get any benefits and stuff. And the whole loophole here is you just stack the deck in your favor by getting more clients and having a system to bring on new clients consistently, right? Once you get to like 3, 4, 5 clients, then it becomes a lot easier, because then you can kind of chill out because you have a stable base. And once you have like a reliable way to like bring in customers, you can like chill. With a brand, you can chill a lot faster once you literally get to like $100 a day, like profit and stuff, because you literally don't have to answer to anybody, and you basically have a job essentially where you're making like average 9 to 5 person would make, which is like a couple $100 a day, right? Like $50 to $100 a day, especially if you're not like living somewhere expensive, or if you're living with your parents. Because again, this video is like if you're just starting out type stuff. If you're just starting out, 50 to an extra $100 a day can change your life, right? Because then you just got to focus on doubling it, or like tripling it, and like doubling it. And in the brand space, that's actually a lot easier to do, because again, the hardest thing is just getting your first couple sales that validate the demand. Once you have that, you can essentially grow it to like $500 to $1,000 a day, relatively profitably, right? Like the amount that you are profitable in either business is actually a reflection of your current skill stack. So the more profitable you can get your margins to be on the e-com side, the cheaper you can get the conversions on the media buying side, the better you are at the brand side or as a media buyer. The more margin you can squeeze out from your customers, the better you are at the agency side, right? A lot of people charge like 50% of what they would make their client. So if you come in and you make a client 100K, you're going to charge them 50K. That's what consultants do. They literally charge like 10, 30, 40, 50K to give them advice that's going to make them like an extra 100K or 200K. A lot of the good ones charge close to 50%. As an agency model, you can't really do that unless you do some type of like a partnership agreement, which is what like this whole growth partnership movement is all about. Where it's like you literally partner up with good businesses and they actually give you what you're kind of worth. Which, if you're like doubling a business, tripling a business, 10xing a business, it becomes real hairy if you're not, getting compensated fairly for that, because it's going to eat at you the whole time, because you're like these guys have no idea what they're doing. Like, I made them all this money. Like, why are they so opposed to, I don't even know, some type of bonus? Like, some clients, they would give you like a gift or something for making them a lot of money. Other clients will fire you because they're going to be like, hey, I paid you too much. I think I can outsource this or hire a full-time employee for cheaper and do this for them. That number tends to be around 10 to 15K per month for a single service. Like, after 10 to 15K a month, it gets really hairy with clients, because they start, it's so weird, right? Because like the whole ad analogy I gave you earlier, like if it's making them like a stupid amount of money, but then they're thinking about how can they save money when they've already doubled their business in the last year, and the first thing they want to do is like get rid of the thing or person that doubled their business to save like $5,000 or something. Like, it's insane when you think about it, but this is the reality of an agency, and that is why there's so many bad businesses out there. Because it's like, the whole statistic, like 95% of businesses fail in the first year. It's not the business, it's the people running the business, because most people don't know what they're doing or how to really take a business seriously, right? So a brand, you run it. Once you get the product market fit, you just hire out everything and you just set up operations and you can kind of chill. The agency, kind of the same thing. One is a little bit more stable, but the stability comes at a price of it being a bit of a headache, unless you like outsource all the customer facing stuff, right? So it kind of depends on your personality. I personally say do a brand, because you can scale that a lot faster if you are more of a hustler and you have more of a drive and you're more of an accountable person, more of a go-getter, right? You can still do an agency and still do well with it, with the same personality traits and all that jazz, but it's a people business, right? Not every time people are going to be like happy. Like, so much of the agency stuff is just you just talking to people just to check in on them and all this stuff. And I tend to be like I tend to push for efficiency and stuff, and I don't like coddling people. I don't like being like, hey, it's okay, it's just a bad day, we're gonna be okay. If you look at the last week, our cost per purchase is still like $20 when it used to be like $90. One bad day is not gonna kill us. It is okay, right? Because for me, that kind of comes from realizing that the more you kind of protect somebody and coddle them, you're kind of robbing them of growth, of like developing their own stuff, like their own resilience, their own character, and all that jazz, right? So that's why I kind of lean towards the brand side, but maybe you might lean towards the agency side. So again, just to wrap everything up, the agency will cash flow faster, but you're dealing with people, and people aren't rational. So it might be more stable, it might be more rational, but if you don't have the experience, you can't provide like a good service, you might have a harder time getting started and kind of staying consistent. You're going to have to do a lot of work initially. And if you're doing your own brand, since you already have to do all the work anyways, you just take the bigger piece of the pie. You're taking all the profits. The fun part is, if you have a little bit of cash saved up, you can start with a brand, and I would recommend, if you have like 5K saved up, start with a brand. Start with selling something, because the stuff you will learn from doing that, you can essentially turn one of those things into a service-based business later, or on the side, right? So it's a lot easier to start with a brand, because then you're teaching yourself, and you kind of get rewarded for taking the risk and teaching yourself, because you literally get all the profit. So since you have to do all the work in the beginning anyways, might as well take the bigger chunk of the profit, right? If you want to build something a bit more long-term, something a bit kind of, stable, yada, 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 you can build your brand and build it stable as well. But an agency is like the whole thing. The worst thing that's going to happen is you get fired and you just replace the client. A brand can technically, if you don't have backups and systems in place, can technically go to zero and you might have to restart. But if you know what you're doing and you've been in the space long enough, that's not hard to do. And once you get enough experience in either or, you're going to realize really quickly which one you want to do. So, and the brand also has way more potential for more profits in the long run. Because an agency, you get to the point where you're just hiring so many people, especially when you get to like, 50 to 100K a month, you're going to have to hire like good people to represent you and your reputation. And those people don't come cheap, right? So it basically eats up your profit margins, and you can essentially lose your profit margins. I have like buddies that do 50K a month, 100K a month, 250K a month on their agencies, but they're taking home 5 to 10%. Well, you might say it's good money. A lot of them have insane headaches and they're way out of shape because they're just so stressed out from dealing with all the operational stuff. Versus you look at people that have a brand, that are dropshipping, they're chilling on a beach somewhere while just kind of hanging out, right? So there's definitely pros and cons. I'd say do a brand. It's got way better pros. It's got way better potential. You take all the profit for yourself. The agency is good if you want something to kind of supplement your business, if you want to raise capital, if you want to learn things quickly and you don't really have the money for learning it, you can just go to businesses and tell them, hey, I'll charge you like $50 a day or like $100 a week. Something really low, maybe like do a first month for free, rack up your experience and work your way up. And then when you get good and comfortable and you save up a bunch of money, you can start your own brand on the side. Because the brand doesn't take that much time inputs after certain points. Like the biggest things, like the time investments the brand's going to take is figuring out what to sell, building out the websites, and then just getting the ads going, right? But if you have money, you could essentially outsource all of that after you pick what you want to sell, right? You can just get somebody to make you a Shopify store for you. You can go hire a media buying agency to do all the ads for you and all that jazz. So right now I do both, right? So I'm working on my brand, but I also have an agency on the side. I just like marketing, right? Like I just like doing Facebook ads. So I find working with other people, I get like a good pulse on Facebook and like the market. So it kind of feeds into each other, right? So I do both. So yeah, that was it. And I hope that this video gave you some good insights into the pros and cons and some of the things you can expect from both sides. Again, not trying to sell you anything, and I hope this saves you guys some time and effort and energy. That was my only goal from this video, and if you liked it, please subscribe.